some good news and some not so good news. So good news is we have been approved for our administrative adjustment, and that reduces our 50-foot setback line in the front down 40 feet and gives us a much larger building envelope to build a great house. But the not so good news is that the approval is contingent upon us building a structure that has the footprint we submitted in the first place. And of course, more good news is that we have a wonderful architect to work with. Not so good news is that the architect pointed out a lot of things we hadn't really considered when we designed that original floor plan, and let us know that ultimately that footprint that we submitted wasn't even really going to work in real life. So add that to the fact that we're up to 4,944 square feet of disturbance, which is just way too close to 5,000. And yeah, our work is clearly cut out for us. But what are we going to do? We're going to figure it out like we always do. So we go back to the civil engineer and talk to him about these challenges. And he reminded us that way back in the beginning, we talked about that to stay under that 5,000 square feet of disturbance, the best strategy would be to overlay as much of the new house onto the footprint of the old house as possible. Simple, right? So we took a look at that again. Here's what it looks like. So here, the yellow is the existing house, and this red line is the footprint of the newly proposed house. And so when we went back to the drawing board, we saw that we had a bunch of space here, right? And there's a little more here and here. So we thought maybe if we adjusted this floor plan a little bit to maybe pull out some of this and maybe even some of this, that it would be just enough of a difference to pull us enough under that 5,000 square feet that we might be okay. So we went ahead and started reworking and came up with another version of a floor plan that we were pretty happy with. So here's what that looks like. Okay, and I will of course post it on the blog, but you'll see that, like we talked about, there's some space here, some space here, okay? Oh, and we were even able to create like an elevation. Look at that. So it was our first version of a real and official looking front elevation. Pretty exciting stuff. So we sent this back to the civil engineer before we even took it to the architect, and we wanted to make sure we were maximizing our options here and not just going back to the architect over and over. Wanted to ensure that we were in fact going to be under that 5,000 square feet of disturbance. And guess what? We technically were. We were down to about 4,850. However, there's always something, right? That was before we accounted for extra space for things like, ready for this? For the construction crew to put down their dumpsters, for the construction crew to install a porta potty, for the construction crew to lay down things like roofing materials and lumber and all of that. All of those things on the site have to be included in your disturbance. So we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here. We really want to get this house built. We want to just move forward and make it happen. But our reality is the fact that we're moving the whole footprint of this house from where it is existing on a diagonal on the lot to a more of a parallel with the front street, it really was just not going to be possible to keep this thing under 5,000 square feet of disturbance. So it looked like a much longer and much more expensive site development plan was in our future. So come back next time and we'll tell you how we made it happen. Not great news, but we're just going to roll with the punches and end up with an awesome house at the end of the day. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.